Yeah, so, right, I'm Bart Ehrman. I identify as both a humanist and an agnostic.
And are you openly agnostic?
What do you mean openly?
Do people know it, or do your family know it?
Am I in the closet? Yes, I'm quite openly agnostic. Everybody knows it. I was actually a fundamentalist and as a late teenager, and that's what got me interested in the Bible. But as I developed my scholarship through graduate school, I realized that my beliefs about the Bible were completely wrong, that the Bible is not some kind of inerrant revelation from God. And so for years I had become a liberal Christian. I still went to church, I still believed in God, but I didn't believe that the Bible was the inspired Word of God. But after many years of being a liberal Christian, I finally became an agnostic for reasons unrelated to my scholarship. Reason having to do with why there's suffering in the world if there's a God who's in control. For years I had thought about it. I read what biblical authors said, I read what theologians said, I read what philosophers said, and I got to a point where I just didn't believe it anymore. And so I just acknowledged at one point then that I'm probably an agnostic, and that's what I've been for maybe 15 or 16 years. It's very interesting being an agnostic scholar of religion. In this talk, I'd like to explore what it means for me to be one. I think I'll begin by explaining what I mean by, what I myself mean by this term that I'm using, that we all use all the time, the term agnostic. Because over the last 18 months or so, I've come to think it means something different from what I used to think. So, what I used to think before I was an agnostic was that agnostics and atheists were 2 degrees of the same thing. And when I first declared myself agnostic, I was amazed at how militant both agnostics and atheists can be about their terms. Every agnostic I met thought that atheists were simply arrogant agnostics. And every atheist thought that every agnostic was simply a wimpy atheist. 2 degrees of the same thing. Well, someone will just say, I don't know, the other will admit they do know. And so that was I have come to think that in fact, they are not 2 degrees of the same thing, they're 2 different kinds of thing. That agnosticism has to do with epistemology. What you know. What you know. And atheism has to do with belief. What you believe. I actually consider myself to be both an agnostic and an atheist. I'm an agnostic because if somebody says to me, is there a greater power in the universe? My response is, how the hell would I know? I don't know, so I'm an agnostic. If somebody were to ask me, do you believe in the God of the Bible? Do you believe in a God who interacts with the world, who intervenes in the world, who answers prayer? Do you believe in a supernatural divine being? No, I don't believe it. So I don't believe it, so I'm an atheist. But I don't know, so I'm an agnostic. And since I'm a scholar, I prefer to emphasize knowledge rather than belief. And so I tend to identify as an agnostic.